This is Carlos Cousins. This is an SAT long passage question that is asking us a question about the techniques used by the author and the way that a passage was written. We'll have to evaluate exactly what type of technique it is. Now, before we do that, what we want to do, like we do with every single passage, is try to find the thesis in either the first paragraph or the first sentence of the second paragraph. Then look at the body paragraphs to try to find what the topic sentences are, have an idea of exactly what's going on after we've given it a read, of course, just to have like a fresh memory of what this passage was about, and then take another look at the question. Of course, a good idea is always to also reread the conclusion, whether it just be the last sentence or maybe if you're confused, the first and last sentences before going back to something that's asking about the passage as a whole. So let's go ahead and do that. So the first commercial cellular telephone system was launched in Tokyo in 1979, and it was not long before other countries also created networks. The first city in the US to have cell phones was Chicago, blah, 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 began to gain widespread popularity in the US. Now they're one of the most ubiquitous technologies in our society, but because the technology is so new and so prevalent, a number of concerns have arisen about its possible disadvantages. After having read the passage, you should know that this encapsulates what the passage is actually talking about. And this would serve as a good thesis sentence. The fact that technology is so new and prevalent makes it so that some people are worried that there's something wrong with the technology of cell phones. Now, that would mean that this sentence here is then a topic sentence. Let's see if this backs up our potential thesis. One important snag is the possibility that mobile phones could cause cancer or other diseases. This makes sense. If people believe it causes cancer, then that means people are worried about it having some disadvantage. Another topic sentence here. Whoa. Something that has not been contested by any scientist or researcher, however, is the fact that when drivers talk on cell phones, traffic accidents are much more likely. Well, if talking on cell phones can cause traffic accidents, then this is also a disadvantage. So both of these have a negative position on the use of cell phones, which is consistent with this potential thesis we looked at. Although it is clear that cell phones are never safe behind the wheel, there are some situations in which cell phones are effective safety tools. So here we see a shift. This topic sentence is now offering some positive remark about what cell phones do. So this is still consistent with our thesis because it says the technology is so new and prevalent, a number of concerns have arisen about its possible disadvantages, but it doesn't say that there's really anything to say that these concerns are necessarily correct or that they tell the entire story. So this is simply adding a little bit, something that's a little bit different. And then we have a conclusion here. So, the first sentence here says cell phone research is still being conducted, but it may not have much impact on cell phone use. Okay, so we're still trying to answer the question. What exactly is bad about cell phones? What is good about cell phones? But whatever the answer is, it's probably not going to impact how many people use cell phones because people are going to need cell phones anyway, right? Whether cell phones are a force for good or bad in society, it's clear that they're here to stay. So we don't know if they're going to find good or bad things about cell phones, but people are still going to use them. That's pretty much what's being said here. So after that little review, is it an even-handed position? So we've got some negative things, some positive things, and whether or not one is right, we're not. The author of this passage isn't coming to that conclusion. So this seems like a really good option. Exhaustive evaluation. It's not exhaustive in that we don't know everything. Exhaustive would mean that we've listed every single possible outcome. But if there's still research to be done, right? If research is still being conducted, it can't be exhaustive. Bleak admonitions. Again, they're not bleak. There's definitely some positive things, and those were mentioned in this paragraph here. In fact, we have a topic sentence that's talking about positive things, so can't be that. Derision of skeptics. That doesn't make sense. Our thesis is heavily focused on the disadvantages. The topic sentences here for the first two paragraphs are also negative, so it's not that we're deriding skeptics. In fact, the author of this passage is likely skeptic herself or himself. Whoops, sorry, so you scratch this one out. Deliberately misleading statements. The author of the passage isn't trying to mislead. They're just saying some people have one opinion, other people have another opinion. They don't want you to believe either one necessarily. They're just letting the reader know that there are different opinions to be had. So the best answer here is even-handed description. I hope that it's clear why A was the correct answer. Happy prepping.